Hi, Allie. We're just going to talk about your paper here a little bit. Looking over this, just cruising down before I started the recording, it looks like you have done a lot of work. That's wonderful. It makes it really easy for me to comment on what you've done. So thank you very much. First things first, some of this formatting that you have right here at the top is not necessary. We can go ahead and get rid of that because tomorrow on Monday, we're going to work on a cover page, and that's going to take care of everything associated with that. Coming on down here, chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a progressive degenerative disease present in brain that is found in people who have a history of repetitive brain injuries. Concussions and CTE have become a rising increase in the NFL due to the findings of the disease in a majority of former professional footballers. Is it a majority? This is actually a question worth bringing up. I know it's happened to a lot, and it's happened in a majority of people who have submitted their brains for study, but that doesn't mean that it's happened in a majority of athletes. So that statistical distinction is actually something worth playing with and thinking about. The NFL and college football leagues have implemented rules to prevent concussions. However, not all rules are usually followed by coaches and trainers, which can result in fines and penalties. Okay. It isn't always effective. New studies have found a new way to diagnose this, which could be used to develop the solutions. Good. CT and repeated concussions have been found to affect football players in the National Football League, but with intensified regulations, improved helmets, and other possible solutions, CT has become a lesser issue. Now, that is a bold statement that you're making right there. I think it's perfectly fine that you want to make that statement. And in fact, it opens you up at the end of your paper to debate yourself, to say, well, wait a minute. Is this becoming a lesser issue? Given the research that I've just conducted, is the NFL and college football, let's say, as an extension of that, have they actually found a solution to this problem? And we're on the downside of this right now. We're starting to piece everything together. I say this is a controversial point because it seems to me that the question of concussions is more and more prevalent, and that this is a conversation that's being had weekly in the NFL and during the college football season. So anyway, you're taking a strong position right here, which is great. Do not walk back from it. Just be aware that it means at the end of the paper, you may have the opportunity to debate yourself and to say that my research has proven me right or my research has proven me wrong. Good, now you're explaining what it is. It's a buildup of tau. That's exactly right. Good. And you talk about what then happens in the NFL. The thing that I think is interesting about what you just said right here, the only deliberate movements that initiate helmet-to-helmet contact may result in a penalty. The thing that's interesting is that that's not the only thing that may result in a concussion. Certainly accidental contact, the head hitting the ground. There's any number of ways that a concussion can be caused. It's not just those that are associated with penalties, which then brings up interesting things. Is it possible to even legislate concussions out of the game because of the way that concussions are caused? Good. They do not change the outcomes of malicious hits. Excellent. Your next line addresses the exact point that I just discussed. Reviewing a study of 871 concussions. Wonderful. You've done a really nice job of bringing in some of these stats. I would also suggest that for an overview of this, there's a piece on the New York Times last year, maybe, that discussed a study done at Stanford or North Carolina State University, I can't remember which one, where they actually were putting sensors inside the helmets and they were able to chart what exactly the brain does during severe hits, and you could actually see the twisting motion of the brain during concussions. I would recommend that you look up that study because it does a wonderful job of actually explaining what's going on and how difficult it is to deal with this issue. Anyway, so here you're just providing a little more information of potential number of concussions and penalties. Good. Is their concussion protocol actually functional? So the article I was just thinking about from, I want to say it's NC State off the top of my head, Allie. If it's not, I'm sorry. Something that might be interesting is, does the concussion protocol that's in place with the NFL address the issues that are raised in the article in the New York Times and the way in which the brain reacts, or is the way in which the brain reacts separate from those things that are being addressed by the concussion protocol? I think that might be really interesting. And now you're looking at a specific case study, talking about this situation here at Elvis Dumervil and Tom Savage. Great. By looking at a specific situation, it gives you a little bit more ethos. If we go back to our conversation about rhetoric, I would like you to dive a little bit more into this, though. You haven't talked a lot about this yet. Prior to this point, you've been talking up here about the concussion protocol, and you've also been talking about what concussions are. So now that you come down here to your case study, did the concussion protocol serve Tom Savage? Did he need a new helmet? Did the rules of the game protect him in any way, or was this a violation of the rules, a violation of the equipment, a violation of the protocol that's in place? If you're going to use a case study, then use that case study to either support or contradict to help highlight what you've been saying up until that point. And now you're getting down here into the concussion protocol a little bit more. And now you're going to start talking about the possible solutions. Allie, if I can make a suggestion to you, why don't you move your case study with Tom Savage down here to just above where you start getting into the solutions. So you presented all of these problems and the things that are being done to potentially take care of these problems. Well, put Savage after that then. That way he becomes a transition point between, well, these are the problems and here are the potential solutions. I think if you moved him organizationally, it would actually help to highlight what you're talking about a little bit. Good. Now, as you're talking about the concussion protocol, you're making a case here, or you're bringing up this issue of suicides. Is there any connection between the concussion protocol and suicides of former NFL players? That's going to be a very difficult connection to make. I'm bringing this up because rhetorically this could get you in trouble. So please make some sort of a transition here where you talk about, while I cannot definitively prove that these suicides are linked to these things, it seems that there is a possibility of this. Just saying that these things are linked is going to be tough to prove. And now we're getting here into these helmets. Good. I think an actual conversation about this is great. I would like to see some quotes in here. The corporate types and the people who are associated with this, there's no reason why there can't be quotes. There's got to be information available. Good. Now here you're talking about some complicating issues. And again, with the complicating issues, I think that you need to try to offer up some quotes. If you're going to talk about these doctors and the different people who are doing it, what do they actually have to say about it? Not just what does their research say. And now you're coming down here and you're reviewing this again. Can I make a suggestion that in between these two paragraphs right here, maybe you try to come back around to the Tom Savage issue? Because if you're going to talk about how he was dealt with in that one case, the problems that exist, and then how those problems may manifest in the one incident with him, and then you talk about the solutions, would it be possible to revisit him and to possibly discuss how those solutions could have helped him could have helped him or not helped him. I think that could be a really interesting way of going about the issue. Just something for you to think about here that could help. And then your review, as I'm going down through here, is very good. It touches on every one of your issues. I think if we just add a little bit more there, you're going to be good to go. All right, Allie, I've been talking about your paper here for a while. We're going to jump into some more formatting stuff tomorrow and try to help you finish this thing up. It looks like you've done a really nice job. I've just tried to offer up some minor suggestions about your organization and some things that you can press a little bit further into, but all in all, good work.